Welcome to the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Together we explore the vast landscapes of life, delving into the rich soil of experiences, sowing the seeds of curiosity, and harvesting the profound wisdom that each episode unfolds.
Hi, this is Dr. Roselle of Harvesting Wisdom. I'm subbing for our full-time host, Mike McMahon. He's just wrapping up his trip in Africa, and we are so glad to have Odie Harris with us here today. We're going to touch briefly on some sustainability sustainability initiatives that Chandler's championing, but really we have a great opportunity to talk to a community leader. We're going to dive in and talk about his book and about what it's like to be an elected official in Chandler, and how he experiences impact and help to improve the community. So welcome, Odie.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to sit down and spit some wisdom and some knowledge to those that are watching and listening.
And honestly, I'm so glad you're here today because you're kind of a Renaissance man. You're really engaged in a lot of different projects. The first thing I really wanted to dive into with is just your role as an elected official. So let's talk about Chandler. One of the big focuses for Harvesting Wisdom is sustainability. Before we jumped onto the podcast, you were talking about a couple of the initiatives that you wanted to just highlight because each city kind of has their own thing. And we talked with the city of Phoenix about the light rail. What are some of the initiatives that you're seeing in Chandler that are going into the sustainability realm?
No, thank you so much. Again, thank you so much for having me on the show. Right before I answer that question, I just would like your audience to know a little bit about my background.
Absolutely.
I was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
I'm one of six. I'm the favorite child.
Okay.
But I also through that work, my family migrated to another state in Michigan, and there I was raised with mom and dad and 6 siblings. And there, my father passed away when I was 14 years old. And so that took a different type of journey in my life where I was faced with the obvious, like either I can work hard to be successful or I can choose a life of the streets and a life of a wayward person. And with great mentors, which I encourage everyone to get a great mentor in your life. You don't use the excuses of I was without. You take away those excuses from your mind, you can then start seeking the path that you're supposed to be on, which is purpose-driven. And so I went down that path. I found some great mentors, and obviously being a man of faith, that was a part of my journey to help me get me where I am today. And so we went through that path. I was able to go to school, and once I finished up school, I became an accountant by trade, an entrepreneur. And so I opened my first accounting business when I was like 20 years old. And from there, I was able to grow that business in 35 locations, 7 different states. So I was very, very busy before I sold it. And so since then, I started a non-for-profit called Ready, Set, Go Foundation that helps entrepreneurs and business owners start their own business and launch out in the atmosphere. And then also the journey of obviously becoming an author was a part of that. The first book I wrote was called Unlocking Your Purpose. And so since then, we'll talk about some more of my other books later on. But I think that what made me get into the politic realm is because the endless opportunities of changing policy. A lot of people don't understand that elected officials, we are policy makers and changers. And a part of how that looks with your business is the part of the dichotomy that we have to have, the relationship we have to have with businesses and non-for-profits. And so I kind of got into that realm because of the fact that I understand how they all work. And so that's kind of what got me here to where I am today.
Well, we're gonna circle back to what you do with Chandler Sustainability, but you brought up a lot of great things that I have to follow up. The first one is I agree it's important to have a mentor. When you were growing up, can you identify a mentor that really stood out to you, and what drew you to that person?
Well, in my journey, I felt like when my father passed away, I felt a little lost in my journey because I wanted a male mentor that can help guide me, direct me, and position me. And I felt a little lost, but my pastor was a great mentor. He's passed on. His name was Bishop Alfred Singleton. He was a man of integrity, a man of God, someone that I aspired to be like. He was a successful person in his business. And I also had another mentor named Tony Brandon. He also was a great person that I had. And then one last mentor, Bishop Alfred Singleton, his son, who again is older than me, but have a lot of wisdom and has been a part of my journey since the beginning. And never forgetting my mom. My mom is everything because she's been there. But I found that those mentors were good for helping me get me to where I was trying to go, which is staying on the path. But now that I'm older, I'm finding that I need different mentors. Like in politics, it's different from the mentorship that I had when I was younger. When I was, starting and launching my business, it's different in that mentorship. And so I kind of been on that journey as well.
So, okay, based on your background, what got you into thinking that you wanted to go and become an accountant? Where did that come from?
You know what? I had a bad experience. It normally starts with a bad experience. I had someone who I went to go get my accounting work done, my taxes done with, and it just didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out. And I felt like that company was not giving me all my deductions that I wanted. And so as I was presenting things to this accountant, they was like, oh yeah, you qualify for that. My thought was, why you didn't tell me that in the beginning? Like most people, because you hear about like, hey, we want to be net zero. That's the goal, net zero. Yeah. But the reality is the only way you're going to get to net zero with your taxes, you got to have a great accountant. Yeah. So that was a part of my thing, was like, hey, minimize your liability, maximize your refund. That was kind of like my theme during that transition.
Okay, so my next question has to do with, you said you built it up to several locations, a couple of different states. Why did you decide to sell your business? Was that back in Michigan that you had the businesses, or was that out here in Arizona?
Yeah, I had them everywhere.
Okay, so why decide to pivot?
Well, the pivot came because my personal life changed. One thing about being an entrepreneur and business owner is that when your personal life changed, your business changed. How you move in your business is how you move, and so that all changes. And so when I decided to do that, that was coming from a person that was like, hey, make the money and sell your business, because that's what entrepreneurs do. Yeah. There's a difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner. Business owner is just about running their day-to-day operations. Entrepreneur is more like about setting up the business and then letting it go. That's how I looked at my kingdom I built. But the pivot came because I knew it was at a certain value. I wanted to really focus more. My children were young, and so they were just about that age of 7, 8, 9 years old, and I felt like I was missing most of their life running a business and being involved. So I decided to let it go and put something a little bit more reasonable, because all success is not good success.
Yeah, honestly, in just hearing you talk about it, I can tell you made the right choice.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with your choice. But let's talk about starting that business. This is something that a lot of people want to do. What advice can you give somebody that says, you know what, I'd experienced something like you, or I went into a business and it wasn't positive. We just talked to somebody from the Fair Trade Cafe, and her whole business model sprung from going to Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give to somebody? What are some of the pivotal things that you did in order to launch your businesses? So
I read a good book when I was young by Dr. Ben Carson, called Healing Hands. And one thing that he said in that book was about learning everything about the job that you take on. If you're going to open up a business, you need to know everything about the business. What I found is that people are good at the trade, but not good at the business development, which is two different things. So as you grow in your business, you are, first of all, you wear all the hats. The first time when you're trying to launch a business, you are the salesperson, you are the VP, you are the CEO, you are the person going out there making deals. But the thing that I've learned, you got to get a good accountant, because that's going to save you money and tax liability in the future in terms of how you set your business up. That may be a LLC, that may be setting your business up through a trust, that may be setting your business up as a corporation. That's important. You need a good lawyer. I will tell everyone, I don't care who you are. If you go into business with someone, if you're going to have an arrangement, you must have a contract. Yes, you may say, oh, I'm going to pay $1,500 to have this contract. Man, sketch it out on paper what you want the terms is. Never do business without a formal written agreement. We're just not in a society anymore that operates in that way. So have a great lawyer.
No more handshake deals.
No more hand. That has, I feel like that has left the building. People are more exact to the paper because what I found out is people become unhappy with your service. And then when they become unhappy with your service, what do they say next? Oh, you're not doing what we agreed to do. Why? Because the arrangement that you had in your mind was one thing, and what they had in their mind was a different thing. So one of my early mistakes was just not having business agreements. I don't even care if it's a napkin on a paper at a dinner table. I agree to pay you $1,000 to show up to my business for 5 days to just say hi to me, and I'm agreeing to pay you this $1,000, or I agree for you to kind of do a walkthrough of my business so I can post it on my social media. That is agreement. But what a lot of people do is they do this handshake, and that hurts their business more.
Yeah, it's exciting starting new business or a nonprofit, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. My advice to people is that there's the passion that gets them started.
Yep.
But the money and the marketing are two things that stumble and give everyone a hard time. And there's not a lot of expertise in that. So that's very, very interesting you said that. So you had this great experience. You were able to own a very successful business. Why did you decide to write books? And it's several books. Did you see something that you wanted to address or change, or why did you decide to start writing books?
Yeah, so what got me there was because I wanted to tell people my journey.
Okay.
I was successful very young, and in my 20s, I became very successful, and I was able to see exponential growth. But remember when we was talking about that mentorship?
Yeah.
Remember, mentorship doesn't always come from person to person. It comes from education, it comes from knowledge, it comes from reading. Every business owner needs to be spending time reading books and understanding what they need to do. So my books have been really focused around things that I felt that was needed in my journey. For instance, my first book I wrote was called Unlocking Your Purpose. Most people don't know what they want to do in life. They're just running and doing something.
So give us a teaser. What is the secret to unlocking your purpose?
Knowing who you are.
Ooh, and people struggle with that too, right?
They do struggle with that because they're looking for validation. Social media has become a validator of people knowing who they are. If you don't know who you are when you show up, what makes you think if they don't validate you, you're going to forget that you are who you say you are because you're there because of who you are. I'm here because I am who I am. I became successful. I've had some success in my life. That's why I'm here. So if we're on social media asking for someone to, hey, look at this, look at that, and they're waiting for those likes, because remember, that's the dopamines in our brain. We need that validation. We need you to say, hey, you look good. Like, I like that red velvet, apron you got. We need that. And for a business owner, if you're waiting for that validation, it's never going to come. Keep waiting. But you need to know who you are and why you're doing this. So that's the tip that I would give you. Know who you are before you even enter the room. Know who you are before you even.
So let's just get the question. Period. So
Period.
Here. But let's talk about the book on the table or the book in the room. Mindful Mantras. Tell us what's this about?
So Mindful Mantra is a compilation of thoughts that in this past year I went through a lot as a leader. Went through a heavy election cycle. Went through some things that I had to revamp in my business. And so what I did was, the times that I was dealing with the most struggle, sometimes your best testimony, these compilation of thoughts are expressions that came to my mind during the time that I was trying to figure out a situation. So you have a mantra, which is something positive that will help encourage you. And then you got the how do I implement that mantra? That's what's in that book.
So how, when somebody reads this, what is it that you want them to take away from it? I think the book that you talked about before, it's just, and it's sage advice, getting to know yourself so that when you're out there, you can come across as genuine.
Yeah.
What piece of advice do you want people to walk away from with this book?
This book is for the Red Velvet Talk. This is for the people who are getting ready to have the coffee. Every entrepreneur, this is probably a tip. Every entrepreneur is supposed to spend 15 minutes on positivity before they start their day. either they're going to be reading something, they're going to be encouraged, and something that inspires them. You need that no matter what. This book is what you're going to do in the morning time when you're getting ready to have that morning cup of coffee, you're getting ready to have that red velvet cupcake. You know, you're going to read that book and you're going to go into it and you're going to say, let's start with, you know, page number 1, because I there's enough mantras in here to last you every day. But number 1 is I embrace self-love, knowing that my confidence and compassion fuel my leadership journey.
Wow.
This book is for the leaders. And so I embrace self-love. Man, we lack that so much. We say we love each other, love ourselves, but we don't.
Well, and you brought up a good point with social media. We give it away.
We give it away.
We give other people that where we need the validation for us to love and respect ourselves. So, well, that's a great thought. You know, I want to go back to the election because you know anybody that becomes an elected official, it's a challenge.
Oh.
So, what are some of the life lessons, and to keep it on a positive moment, what were some of the high points of that? Because I'm sure you had several.
Well, I think the high point was that first one, because what happens when your life is just always full of love, always people supporting you, and then you meet the person or persons or group, people that don't even know you, comes and says, you're not that great, you're worthless. In fact, people should not support you, because think about what an elected official is asking the everyday individual to do. We're asking you not just to go and look at us from your computer. We're asking you to leave your house, put gas in your car, put clothes on, put gas in your car, drive to a booth and punch a ticket and say yes. So we're not just asking people just to do one step. We're asking them to do a multi-layer step that consists of their time and their money. So I think in my life, what I try to do is, what is the value proposition? Why should you say yes to OD? Number 1, OD understands that groceries are very expensive. OD understand housing, which that's what we directly work with. Housing is a lack. And those nurses, those teachers, those police officers, they need somewhere to live. And let's not forget the young generation, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. They want their independence. They're removing themselves from their parents' house, because we don't tend to do a lot of multi-generational living for some reason. But the Asian culture do a lot of multi-generational living, but most people don't do multi-generational living. When they turn 18, they're ready to get out. So we need to have housing for the 18-year-old, the 19-year-old. We need housing for that. And so those are the things that I think was high points in terms of what resonated with my voters. And I kept their taxes low. I keep bringing them taxes down. They keep saying yes to OD.
You know, these are all great points. I think you're right. When you look at the younger generation, really what I say, it's very similar to what you're saying, is they need a pathway to success.
They do.
And sometimes that pathway isn't clear, and there's frustration. So somebody that's going to mentor or to advocate for kids in that or in that demographic, as far as age group, it's important for us to point it out. You know, one of the things that we like to say at Urban Farming Education is we like to close the gap between information and action.
Yeah.
Great books, but how do you build this into your everyday, which it sounds like you do, but how do you encourage other people to build this into their everyday, which it sounds like I want to hear more.
Well, you know what? First of all, anything that you do, you have to have a plan, a written plan. There's nothing that's going to happen without you writing it down first. Everything I do starts with a written plan. And then once you go from the written plan, then you start working on the execution. The execution is the mini goals that helps you get there. So you're going to have long-term goals. So let's say your long-term goal, I want to be a millionaire. Well, let's figure out what does millionaires do, and then let's compress it down to little things that makes sense. Like, I know millionaires, they read a lot of books. They have to stay positive, and they have to stay centered. They have to keep themselves centered, meaning that they cannot indulge in too much negativity. That means reading negativity. That means if your algorithm on social media is negative stuff, that means that you need to rechange your algorithm. The way you change that is by looking for positive things to read about, to look at. And so start with that plan. You know, another thing I do, I put sticky notes up.
Oh, wow.
Yep, I put a sticky note down in my bathroom. You are great. You are special. Today's the day you're going to make $20,000. Every day I have a goal. I don't walk out of my house without a goal, a financial plan. I'm going to meet 10 people and tell them about my business. Intentionally, I'm going to meet these people and tell them about my business. Why? Because when I tell them, that's the results. So 10 may come, only 10 I may tell about, only 1 may come. But think about it. If you keep doing 10 sets of 10s, you're going to get a lot of no's. Just be okay with the fact that you're going to get a no. But one day you're going to get a yes. When I ran for office, there's 300,000 people in Chandler. I got a lot of no's, but I got the right amount of yeses. Yeah. And for someone that may be discouraged about their business and where they are, they need to know that that right yes is coming. It's coming. The yes person, it takes one relationship just to really flourish and open up all the doors. And so while we're sitting here digging and we're working hard and it does not seem like we're getting better, some people have been locked in 6 months, a year, and they have not gotten there. And they're trying to figure out, when is it going to come? When is that going to happen? And let me just tell you, if you stay consistent, someone will say, just like Oprah said it on the red carpet, someone will see you doing the work. And then you'll keep doing the work. Then finally, someone will acknowledge that you're just doing the work. And then once you're acknowledged that you're doing the work, then someone will say, hey, let's go support that work that they're doing. And once they support that work that they're doing, boom, that's when the doors open up. So we have to stick to the plan. Even when it's bad, stick to the plan. You'll get through it. It may come sooner than what you think, but it may take a year. It may take 2 years for you to see your vision come to pass. But if you stay in it, you'll be all right.
That is sage advice. You know, you kind of embody what my advice my dad always used to give me. He said, Joe, make sure you surround yourself up with good people. So yep. My follow-up question to you is you sound like somebody that's incredible, positive influence. What do you look for when you mentor somebody?
Well, I just want someone that wants the knowledge, that's hungry. Okay. They have to be more hungry than me. If I'm sitting here mentoring you and you're not willing to do the work for yourself, I mean, it's just like me saying, I want a haircut and never show up to the barbershop. Yeah. I got to want to do that for myself. Yeah. I think the people that finds the most mentorship is they need to understand how mentorship works. People think mentorship is me and you talking every single day on the phone. They think that's mentorship.
No, there's got to be a purpose to it.
There has to be a purpose. Right. Mentorship is checking in. Mentorship is, I'm going to read his books. I'm going to check him out on social media. I'm going to check out this amazing podcast, right? Where I have these positive, influential people talking on that podcast. I'm going to indulge. And once a month, I may meet with my mentor. So I'm looking for people who want to be mentored by me, or people who have an assignment. I'm a part of their plan. I'm not the plan.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, going back to my parents, my mom always said, anytime you can add value to another human being, you do it. And she said, just make that your default. And when she gave me that advice, I just found I was happier. Yeah. Because there's a million different ways you can make somebody's day. Yeah. And this kind of encapsulates everything you are, that it really does change your trajectory. And then people look at you and they're just drawn to you for that one simple piece of advice. So it sounds to me like that you to get yourself here, you've experienced a lot, you've had a lot of impact, you've had a lot of people helping you. Let's talk briefly, because I want to get back to some of this about the city of Chandler and sustainability. What are some of the things when you look at the city of Chandler that you're just very proud of when in the realm of sustainability?
Well, you know, I'm so proud that our city has embraced. We have a very inclusive city. We embrace everyone. We have a city that welcomes everyone. You know, you come to Chandler, you're going to feel the love. Chandler has a lot of love, and we're a very family-centric oriented type community, because that's based on our values. But one of the things that we do that I thought was really good is that we've been zero-scaping land. So we have a program now that if you want to put up zero-scape artificial turf at your home, you can do that. You can go to the city, reach out to us, and we will help pay for that exchange for you to zero-scape to save water. You know, because water is a very important commodity. Remember, we're in the desert.
We are in the desert. That's huge, because, and I know that it's expensive, but you know, where artificial turf was even 5-6 years ago to now, yeah, it looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's such a great way, because you're going to save money on your water bill. You're going to save money on the fact that you want your landscape to look beautified. The artificial turf is good for animals. It's animal friendly. All you do is take a little sprayer. You can wash it off every 6 months, once a year. I mean, and it looks just as good as new. So it's really a great way. And we've been really just investing like the Waymo, the self-driving car.
Well, talk to me about that.
Yeah, so the self-driving car came to Chandler first. And basically it's an autonomous car where basically there's no driver. You get in this car and it takes you to your destination. And some may hear about the Waymo, but Waymo headquarters and the building of it happened right in Chandler.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So we were the first city to actually take it on, and now other cities, they've expanded into other jurisdictional spots, and it's been really, really, really good. So I've been really happy about it. So
it's great. I'm glad that you brought people up first, because when people think of sustainability, they think of electric cars, they think of solar panels, but really it's any resource that you use in business, and you're being a good steward. Yeah. If you're not gonna be a good steward with people, with materials, with your building, you're not gonna stay in business.
That's correct.
So that people component is huge. So making people feel included, making people feel welcome is a huge part of attracting people, so your businesses can continue to grow.
Yeah, I mean, we have to. If you have a business and you're really trying to move it forward, you're really going to need every aspect of saving money, but you need to be locked in. You need to know what's going on in your local government. The local elected leaders, we deal with so much. We directly impact you in such a meaningful way, a powerful way. And so business owners needs to say, hey, if I'm opening up a business in that city, let me just make sure I introduce myself. Let me, when I do my ribbon cutting, let me invite these elected officials there. Just because you want to have that representation, you want them to know like, hey, I'm here. But that's just like marketing. You're going out there, you get the elected officials to come out to your ribbon cutting with enough time notice. They come and they bring the community, and then your local chamber of commerce, they get involved, and then you get shows like this to kind of come where you can get spotlight and highlight it. It helps increase the value of what your business proposition is.
Okay, so that's another great point. Working here in South Phoenix with the South Mountain Ravine Chamber of Commerce, we've invited elected officials, the City of Phoenix officials, and you're right, there's lots of programming. There's lots of advice that and connections that you can make as a new or small business owner. So what pieces of advice when you show up to these events do you like to give in businesses when they're getting started?
Keep telling people.
Okay.
Keep telling people. And also, when you first get started, you really want to have an offering. What is the offering? A lot of times it may be 20% off, 50% off, or, hey, maybe you want to target a specific group. One thing I try to tell businesses, don't do the general marketing. That's not really great because you're going to lose money. You need to get very specific on your target. Who exactly do you want to show up to your business? That's who you go after. Is that veterans that you want to show up to your business? Is that teachers you want to show up to your business? Is that the family of four that you want to show up? Who is your market? And most of the time, you should have already identified that before you open up your business. But it's important that you stick to that plan. If you're a high-end luxury brand, like I love people like, hey, my brand is not that luxury. It could be. There was an experiment that was done in a mall not long ago, and I can't remember what mall it was, but they opened up a shoe store, and they took all the low-end shoes, and they put it in the store, but they opened the store up in a high-end mall. Like where the malls, like where you see Louis, Gucci, all these major brands. They open it up, they increase the price of the shoes to $500 to $1,000, and they sold out of shoes because everyone said, oh, that's the shoe you're supposed to have. But it was just simply shoes that were may have been made by Payless or someone else. But it's all about positioning of your brand and how you communicate your brand out there.
Yeah, and being part of the chamber, this is a painful experience for small business to go through. I mean, it goes back to what we said before. There's just not a lot of that expertise in marketing, and we're starting to dive in that now too. That market segmentation. If you're sending just a general message out, it's probably not going to resonate with anyone.
No.
And the other thing is kind of buyer beware. If you don't do your market research ahead of time, your competitor analysis, you could find somebody to do it for you.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not cheap.
Think about McDonald's. See, and this is what business. If you're going to be a business owner, you got to be a steward of owning. You got to be a steward of your craft. You're going into this industry called the business ownership. It's not just turning on the lights and putting a product together or a widget to sell. It is understanding. Think about McDonald's. They spend $1 billion a year in marketing.
Wow.
Why do they spend so much money when they're marketing? And a lot of the reasons we think McDonald's is about their food and things like that. But really,
It's about the brand.
It's about the brand.
Yeah.
And they're a big time real estate company.
Oh, yeah.
And their real estate is worth more than their product that they're selling. So we have to be a study of industries and understand. Even Amazon, think about what Amazon was able to do. Amazon was able to create a platform for businesses to come to. And at one point, most things that was on Amazon was never even owned by Amazon. It was about the fact that we had a certain place that we can go and get a central hub to purchase items. We can find those items there. So think about the fact that we're in a city, we're in a place of convenience now. Yeah. Where drop shipping became, people are making millions and millions of dollars just from drop shipping. They don't even own the product, but they're able to find the product at a lower price and they're able to market it to a different one. Another big thing that I think a lot of small business owners have not even taken advantage of is, for instance, Amazon has this thing where you can set up a small a website, like you can open up like another website within their website and sell your products, like a store inside of Amazon, and you can put your products on their store. Wow. And I think it's only like $135 to get started. So those are just another resource of how you can expand. If you got a widget or product, that's another way that you can expand it out and get there.
I've got this title for your next book, What to Do When the Excitement's Worn Off. Because, wow, what you're describing really does typify that. So,
yeah.
You know what? I really appreciate the time you've given today. But before we go, just last opportunity for you to talk about upcoming events or things that you're really excited about going on in Chandler or with your book or in your community.
Yeah, so, again, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity to share some of my knowledge and my experiences. It's been really great and fun. I would encourage everyone to go get Mindful Mantras for Leaders. It's a great book for you to really just, it's for leaders. It's for people who understand that they're trying to get to their next level. It's a great book to read. But more importantly, support me on all my platforms. O.D. Harris, I'm a public figure, and you can Google me and you can find out a lot of information about me. Come down to Chandler. When you come to Chandler, we have some great small businesses that's there. We have this one restaurant that just opened up called Warren's. It's a 5-star dining. If you like Hillstone, if you like Mastro's, you're going to like Warren's in Chandler. So it's really, really good. And I would tell you, it's owned by Larry and Rashida White, who owns the Lolo's Chicken and Waffles. That's everyone knows and loves around here. Yeah. They have a 5-star restaurant in Chandler. So Chandler got it going on. So come out and support.
That's awesome. Do you have a website that you would want people to go to?
They can go to odharris.com.
Okay.
Yeah, they can go there.
Again, I'm going to have to purchase one of these because you had me. Your book really had me. Make sure to like and subscribe, and you will see O.D. Harris's show on Mondays. Thanks again for coming in.
No, thank you so much.
I'll have to check out that new restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Click subscribe and like for ongoing insightful conversations. Explore our webpage for show notes and additional resources. Visit our guests' webpage for deeper insights. Your engagement is the foundation of our journey, and until next time, keep pursuing wisdom.